Day 5 of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry (CoI) has come to an end, with testimonies from former and experienced accountant Sesnarayan Singh and IT manager at the Guyana Elections Commission (GECOM) Anil Giddings. Singh, who now serves as the Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Sugar Corporation and has significant expertise in accounting and numerical values, explained what transpired with the number of votes on that dreaded day. Prior to this point, Returning Officer for District 4 Claremont Mingo had initially committed to working through the night. The reason Singh said Mingo gave proved ironic, to say the least.
Well, he said that he and his staff will work through the night, into the morning, into the next day, until all of the statements of polls are processed. I don't know if it was then but somewhere along the line, Mr. Mingo made a comment, the nation is waiting on us.
The nation was forced to wait 5 long months because of what happened next. Singh describes the introduction of the spreadsheet method, which allegedly contained falsified numbers and did not reflect what was on the original statements of poll. But this very mechanism, which proved to be grossly inaccurate, was uniquely described by then Chief Elections Officer of GECOM, Mr. Keith Lowenfield, according to Singh's testimony.
Mr. Lowenfield said it in the interest of delivering to the nation, if it is found to be administratively more efficient to use the spreadsheet versus what was done on the prior occasion.
So when the process began using the spreadsheet, were the numbers matching up?
Definitely not. The first 21 SOPs that I had in my possessions from East Bank, 17 of them were materially different from the numbers being called by the GECOM people from this spreadsheet.
But what was this material difference, one may ask? Singh took his time in describing the contrast.
Everyone was a casualty from the process, except the APNU AFC. Everyone, and if I may be permitted, some parties got like 2 votes and then their vote was changed to 1. So it was strange. That's the smaller parties. But everyone became where their numbers came down and the APNU numbers went up.
To confirm this was the case, Singh said the representatives from the different political parties matched their numbers from 3 of their statements of poll, or SOPs, with the original SOPs in the possession of GECOM. The numbers on the spreadsheet were vastly different from the SOPs that were in the possession of the political party representatives, according to the seasoned accountant. Strangely, however, Singh noted that the chief election officer made no attempt to correct the numbers on the Excel spreadsheet.
After satisfying himself that
the spreadsheet
the discrepancies that you all were pointing out, he compared your SOPs to the original by your testimony, saw that indeed what you all were protesting was correct because it matched the original SOP, and that therefore the spreadsheet was wrong. Was any correction made to the spreadsheet?
No. No corrections was made to the spreadsheet.
Second to testify in today's proceedings was manager of the Information Technology Division of GECOM, Anil Giddings. Before making a critical and startling revelation, Giddings pointed out that Enrique Livan, whom we've come to know had been accused of manipulating figures, was never an IT officer, but held the substantive position of Assistant Registration Officer. Detailing the process that he was involved in, the IT manager explained that he and his team were responsible for the tabulation of votes from all 10 districts. This was done using the physical SOPs that would be received to the CEO's office from the returning officers. They would use the physical copies and digitize them within the tabulation center, as this center was the only place responsible for such a task. However, on the next morning, Giddings said he recognized a deviation from the agreed process of digitizing the SOPs which obtained prior to that moment.
There was installed a scanner that seemingly was being used to digitize the statements once they were received.
Now, Had you given instructions for such a scanning process to take place?
No, I did not.
While or during the period of time that you participated in the preparations for the elections of March 2020, was it ever agreed that the logistics personnel would be scanning the documents separately?
No, during preparation, no, it was not. Well, I did ask the persons there, the staff. I inquired upon whose instruction was this to be done. They did not say. They simply said they received instructions.
Giddings hammered home the point, however, that the introduction of this new process, which was never agreed upon before, was completely unnecessary and opened the door to many questions.
There would have been no need for that sort of introduction or that sort of process, because it introduces a delay into the process. And at the same time, there was no need for that, and that is my view. There was no need for that to be happening there when it would have already been happening at the tabulation center.
Continuing his testimony, Giddings described March 5, 2020, when there was an alleged bomb scare at the Ashman's building. Following the protocol as outlined by his division's disaster recovery plan, Giddings asked one of his employees to conduct a backup of the data to make sure the information remained intact and accessible in the worst case scenario. Though no bombs went off, former Deputy Chief Elections Officer Roxanne Myers made a startling request of the IT manager.
At about 11:05 that morning, did you hear from the DCO?
Yes, I did.
And was this by phone?
By phone, yes. She called me.
And what was the nature of that conversation?
She called to inquire whether I could execute or whether I have processed a backup of the data and whether such backup could be stored on a flash drive. I responded affirmatively. She then asked for that flash drive to be handed over to her.
Now, Giddings went on to point out that this was an unusual request, but he complied nevertheless. Giddings says that the flash drive, however, was never recovered. In the midst of the bomb scare, Giddings mentioned that in keeping with the protocols, he made efforts to remove the server of the computer for safekeeping. He said he was instructed numerous times by Myers to return it, and after some time, he did. He was then informed, along with his staff, that the process was halted and everyone should leave the building. With all that was happening around him, Giddings felt that he had to take drastic measures to secure the integrity of the commission.
What was the reason for your non-compliance at that point?
Because after I would have observed the state of the center, we would have had statements of poll on the floor, not literally on the floor, but in process or in various areas of the center. And I don't think that I could have simply walked out, knowing that those documents were signed for by staff under my command and were not signed out to where it was intended to go. So I felt the need to stay behind and organize and categorize and secure those documents, inclusive of the equipment and the data, the server, so that I could leave the place in a state where I had no more involvement and I was safe in my mind that these things were secure.
Giddings described the procedure he embarked on to secure not only the remaining SOPs, but the server which contained key election documents. He taped the server in a strategic way so he would be able to easily identify if it was tampered with in his absence. Giddings then points to another exchange he had with the then deputy CEO.
Immediately she asked me, "Anil, are you doing something unlawful with the SOPs?" To which I responded, no, that I'm simply assembling them so that I can have them sent to her office. She responded very aggressively in shouting, "No, no, 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 no. You are to leave everything there and evacuate and leave the center. Leave the center. And that the chief accountant will come and lock up the facility."
Following the instructions given, Giddings said he wrapped up what he was doing and left the center, only to return sometime later to a shocking revelation.
When you went to Ashman's building on the 23rd of March, did you go to the tabulation center?
Yes.
And did you make any observations?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you observed?
I had observed that several items were missing.
Giddings said he returned to his office at GCOM headquarters and wrote the CEO, informing him of all of the items that were missing, which included several SOPs. To this day, Giddings said he never received a response, although the items were known to be very important to the Commission. The Commission of Inquiry was set up by His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali to inquire into the events surrounding the March 2, 2020 general and regional elections. On day 4, former General Secretary of the United Republican Party, Raul Aaron, and Head of Security at the Guyana Elections Commission, Ronald Stewart, were the two persons to testify. Aaron spoke to the challenges he and his party faced even before Elections Day, which hinted at an already brewing collusion between some GCOM officials and the APNU-AFC. Meanwhile, Stewart also pointed out what transpired on March 5 when there was an alleged bomb scare. He highlighted during his testimony that even though Roxanne Myers was the one to inform several people about the bomb threat, she had never left the building. The corroboration and alignment of these events by all the witnesses so far seem to indicate that there was a clear attempt to subvert the rule of law and the process of democracy.